All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the Planning and Zoning Commission special meeting for Wednesday, November 8th, 2023. With that, roll call, please.
Zamora.
Here.
Harmon.
Here.
Boutros.
Here.
Larson.
Here.
All right, thank you. So we have quorum. So we're moving on the agenda. Any conflict of interest any commissioners need to speak to?
No.
Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. No special presentations. And so it'll take us to item 5 on the agenda, consent calendar. I would entertain a motion to accept the consent calendar as presented.
So moved.
A motion from Commissioner Boutros, second for Commissioner Larson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So moving on to our opening statement. So this is a special meeting of the Caldwell Planning and Zoning Commission. We serve both in a decision-making capacity and advisory capacity to the mayor and city council. There are 2 types of public hearings that the commission conducts. The first is a legislative hearing whereby we formulate a recommendation on certain land use requests. Our recommendations are then forwarded to the city council, who makes the decisions on legislative manner. The second type of public hearing is a quasi-judicial hearing involves in consideration of a land use request such as an annexation, rezone, classification, or approval of a subdivision preliminary plat. The public hearing procedures as required by Idaho Code are as follows. Oral and written testimony will be accepted from those who have signed in to speak prior to the hearing being declared open. When providing testimony, please come to the podium and state your name and address, which will be included into the record. Staff will first present a report regarding the application being considered, then followed by public testimony, which begins with the applicant or the applicant's representative. We'll have 10 minutes to present a summary of the request. Testimony of those in support will be taken, followed by those in a neutral position, and finally by those in opposition to the request. And all those testimonies are limited to no more than 5 minutes. The applicant will then be offered the opportunity to provide a rebuttal. After the rebuttal testimony is given, the public testimony portion of the public hearing will be closed and no new oral or written testimony will be allowed. And so with that, move on to new business, which I'll call this public hearing open, declares public hearing open, which is action item 1. Case number CPM 23-9, ZON 23-8, PUD 23-3, and SUB 23-26. So this was, there's a request from staff to continue it to November 22nd, 2023. So I would entertain a motion to that regard. That was a motion for Commissioner Larson.
Second.
Second for Commissioner Harmon, maybe, but supported by Commissioner Boutros. Any discussion on this? None. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moves us to action item 2 of new business. So this public hearing, case number ANN 23-13. Isaiah Velez is requesting annexation of parcel R3 57270000 with a zoning designation of R2 medium density residential. The parcel is 0.43 acres and has 1 existing single-family residence. No redevelopment is proposed at this time. The subject parcels are located on the north side of Ustick Road, approximately 1,200 feet west of the roundabout at Indiana Avenue in Caldwell. And with that, staff report, please.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. Alex Jones, Associate Planner, 621 Cleveland Boulevard. For you today is the annexation for the Velez annexation, ANN 2313. Here's a subject site location that has frontage along East Ustick Road. For conditions surrounding the subject site, there is a school to the east, residential to the north and west, residential/commercial to the south, and undeveloped to the southeast. For the applicant's request is annexation of the 0.43 acres with a R2 medium density zoning. For the surrounding zoning, we have low density to the northwest, high density to the northeast, and community commercial to the south along Whatcom County. For a comprehensive plan, this is proposed for medium density residential, or this is designated medium density residential, that aligns with the northwest, high density residential to the northeast, and business to the south. We received comments from ITD, and they have no concerns. No public notifications were received. Staff recommends the Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval of the request that it is subject to the FCOs. I stand for questions.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Just one question. Will you go back a few slides? I'm just curious. One more. So right above it, what is, where there's no color, what is zoning above that?
So with no color, that would be like county designation.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And that should be county single-family residential.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to the applicant, Isaiah Velez. Come on up to the podium if you like, or representative. Okay. All right. When you come up to the podium, say your name and address into the record before you start, please.
Isaiah Martinez Velez, 1621 East Stick Road.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're just proposing to annex over. Right now, we're part of the county. We want to annex over to the city, and then in the near future, develop on the land.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any other question for staff? Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion to close public testimony.
I did have some questions for staff, sorry.
Go ahead. Commissioner Larson.
A couple. So for policy 1.1, it says planning for anticipated population and housing that the community can support with adequate services and amenities. I guess these are more, not so much questions about this one, but just in general. Do we know what the projected growth of Caldwell is, and then the projected number of houses we're going to build? Because all of that, I think we're probably going to say yes to this one, but us saying yes, knowing that we're going to build 10,000 houses in the next 2 years influences if the growth's only 3% and we only need a couple thousand houses.
Morgan Bisa, Planning and Zoning. So Robin Collins, the Director for Planning and Zoning, recently went through and looked at all the approved applications for roughly the last, I believe it was 10 years, and there was 9,000 lots that have been entitled. Some of those have been developed, some have not yet been developed. And so that's the closest number I can give you for sort of the number of lots that we have coming forward in the near future that have received entitlement.
Clarification, so lots could potentially be multi-family homes, so there'd be multiple dwellings in those lots?
I believe when she did the numbers, she was talking about units, so I apologize.
Okay.
I should have said dwelling unit.
Okay.
Okay. That's, yeah, I just wanted to kind of clarify that. And then the other question I had was policy 5.1, mitigate incompatibility, what might arise between agriculture used at new developments through buffering and screening strategies. I guess my question was, what incompatibility are we looking at? I don't think that that zoning is fully accurate because to the right's a school, and I don't know that's high density technically. So I guess I just wanted clarification on that one as well.
Sure. I think I'll probably hand this back over to the planner to identify what the use is on the site and the uses immediately adjacent. But I do believe that they're all single family, and that the intent would be, if this was brought in, to split it in half in the future into another single family. I believe that's the intent, but I will let them verify.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. Alex Jones, Associate Planner. For the uses, yes, it is the school to the east. Schools are permitted in, I think, all residential zones, so this just happened to be R3, it's just the designation, since they're outright permitted, they were just allowed to go here. Okay. It is single family to the north and west. To the south, the building immediately to the south is an assisted living home, and to the southwest, those are multifamily apartments, and even further south would be more apartments. And then over to the east where it's just farmland, that was, if I can remember correctly, that would be the approved Greenmont subdivision, which were all single-family homes with some mixed commercial in there.
Okay.
So this land use is compatible with it's residential, surrounding residential.
Okay.
And it's appropriate for the zone, for the comp plan.
Correct.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
Any other questions for staff?
My only suggestion, this is just a suggestion, then we can move on for me, is that if we could get a schooling zone so that R3 is not a schooling zone and clarify some of those, because it's kind of vague and unclear to look at it from a big picture, from a top level to look and say, oh, that's actually a school, that's not 5 multi-family homes.
Morgan Bisa, I would like to mention that the Planning and Zoning Department has been looking at identifying or creating a public zone. And so that would be for a variety of public uses, city, county, schools, things like that. So we don't have anything, and I think that you've seen a few applications recently where we have thought that the zoning wasn't quite appropriate. So we had a city park, but we're looking at a residential zone. And so that's one of the reasons that the city has started looking at creating this public zone to be more in line with the comp plan, which does have a public zone. So I would expect that to be in front of you guys sometime next year.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Other questions? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to close public testimony.
So moved.
That motion for Commissioner Boutros,
Second.
second for Commissioner Larson. All those I'm sorry, Harmon. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, public testimony has been closed. Now it's time for us to dialogue.
So, one of the other mitigating factors in favor of this is there is a trail immediately adjacent to this property. And then, there's the property, and then going eastward, there's a trail, and then there's a playing field and a parking lot. So there what appears to be sufficient buffering. In addition to that, the applicant sent a letter. It appears in 2 places in the package, one in the fire department letter, where they say they're going to just split the property into A and B parcels, and they could potentially build a duplex on each property or a single-family home on each property. That seems to me to be completely consistent with what the zoning is and with what's surrounding it as was previously described.
I agree. That was kind of my sentiment as I reviewed that.
I agree. You like that we did our homework?
Yeah, it seems all very reasonable. I just was big picture stuff, so.
Sure.
Yep.
Awesome. Any other discussion? Not, I would entertain a motion of action.
I'll make a motion of action. So based upon the testimony and evidence and record in this matter, and upon the findings and facts and conclusions of law set forth herein, do hereby determine and move as follows. The request ANN 23-13 for an annexation with a zoning designation and a medium density residential is recommended for approval. Subject to the conditions of approval as presented.
All right, there was a motion for Commissioner Harmon. Is there a second?
Second.
I heard Commissioner Boutros first with that second. Roll call, please.
Harmon,
Yes.
Boutros,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Zamora.
Yes. Motion passes. All right, that leads us to our last action item, which is adjournment. So with that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
That was a motion from Larson and second from Harmon. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Adjourned.